Hey everybody, today is July 8th, 2021, I do believe. Yes, July 8th, Thursday. And it's payday, so I got my money today. Yay! So basically, yeah, I just got off work about 2 hours ago. It's about 10 a.m., I think. So yeah, it means I gotta go to bed in 2 hours. Although, to be honest, I'm not sure if I'm gonna be going into work tomorrow or tonight, because last night was so shitty that I'm actually considering calling in tonight. And I rarely ever do that because I try to avoid doing that, but I'm just very upset with how I was treated last night by, well, not management, but my direct supervisors. The people who work above me at this new store, they're kind of shitty. All things considered. My channel's not monetized, so I can swear pretty much all I want. I just want to make that very clear. I'm free from the shackles of monetization, so I can say whatever I want, and it really just doesn't matter. But, whatever. I know not a lot of people appreciate the whole swearing thing, so I won't do it that often, but sometimes I just don't care. And today's one of those days. And, I don't know, might even consider drinking too. But anyways, I want to go into another topic today, to further catch up on stuff I've collected over the past few months. And in particular in May, when I was in the process of moving, and before I had realized that I need to stop spending so much money on collecting video games, I actually got into collecting import games, specifically Japanese import games. And since that's the topic of this video, feel free to share your experience with collecting import games down in the comments below. It's like if you live in Japan, you're collecting like American games, or if you live in America, you're collecting Japanese games, or even PAL games, for instance. But I have yet to see any PAL games in video game stores. They seem to be harder to find than Japanese import games, interestingly enough. But yeah, it all started like back in May when I was at Startover Games in Oshkosh. I actually happened to come across a Famicom there, along with an assorted games for the system, and I ended up purchasing it. I was kind of unsure at first because I have been eventually planning to eventually collect import games. I didn't originally plan on jumping aboard the bandwagon there at the time at first, but I looked around. I just couldn't find. It was one of those rare times where I go to a video game store and I just don't find anything I'm interested in. I mean, there's always something there that I'm interested in, but I always want to look around and see if there's something I really, really want that's not as expensive, or just kind of weigh my options a bit. But yeah, I would have bought this eventually, but yeah, I couldn't find anything else that I really wanted, so I bought the Famicom. And this Famicom is really special because it actually came modded already. It's got an AV mod attached to it, so you can actually hook it up to through a composite. So yeah, instead of having to use the RF signal that is would otherwise be mandatory. So in fact, actually, I think this thing will actually output better quality than both my NESs. I used to think so. Oh yeah, because with this I can get stereo instead of mono. That's why. So yeah. But yeah, the Famicom is really cool. I'm actually overall, since I've had it, I've actually enjoyed playing it more than my NES. For some reason, I don't know. I guess maybe it's the fact that I can get stereo sound out of it, but also because it's just kind of fascinating, I guess, seeing how what it's like to play the Japanese versions of the games I already own. Specifically, well, I should probably show the games I have first to provide context, I suppose. So to start off, I was looking mainly for the familiar games, essentially, the big AAA titles, essentially, first. I'd start with those, and then eventually I'll go on and collect some third-party games. But basically, I collected the games that I was familiar with first. So I bought 4 games to go with it. I got Clue Clue Land. This one I don't even have an NES copy of, so this is actually my only way of playing the game currently physically. So otherwise, I have to put in one of my digital copies, like Wii Virtual Console or Wii U Virtual Console. And also, I think it's on the NES Classic as well. But also the classic Super Mario Brothers. Yep. Can't have a Famicom or NES without Super Mario Bros., right? And then, of course, Super Mario Bros. 3. It's also a must-have title. kind of interesting. It's got the text on the back too, which I can't read. And finally, Tetris. Now, out of the 4 games I got, this is actually the most special one. Because these 3 games right here, Mario Bros. 1 and 3 and Cuckoo Land, they're pretty much exactly the same as the North American NES version. Like, there was no... I didn't see any Japanese text in these 3 games, interestingly enough, even though these games were released in Japan as such. So, it's just kind of interesting. So I guess, like, if you play a AAA game that's meant to be released, like, worldwide, maybe there's not going to be Japanese text in it, which I just, I don't know, it's kind of odd. I just figured the menus would be in Japanese, but I guess not. But this one was interesting, Tetris. This was, it was published by Bulletproof Software. I don't know if they had designed... I'd have to look it up a little bit, but I can't remember if they designed it or not, but... This is different than the NES version of Tetris because this came out 1 year prior, I do believe. Or maybe it was the same year. Right? No. It was 1 year prior because this was before before Nintendo had the rights to Tetris. So, yeah, if you want to know more about the whole Tetris debacle, you can watch a Gaming Historian's video on it. It's very well detailed and very well executed. You know, it's like basically a whole documentary about Tetris. I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it yet. But that you'll get the whole story about Tetris there and why there are all these different versions of Tetris on the NES. And I'll probably go a little more into that in a later video because there's something else I want to show related to Tetris. But yeah, I just want to show that I got the Famicom and I got the 4 games to go with it because yeah, it was just that was just one of those spur of the moment kind of things. But also, I got something else with it that I can't play yet, but it's very interesting, though. Because among the Famicom games there, they also had one Famicom disc game. Super Mario Bros. 2. Or as we call it in North America, Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels. But, yeah, in Japan it was just called Super Mario Bros. 2, because this is what it was. This was the second game. And, yeah, it's the only Famicom disc game that I have, and it's also, I can't play it because they didn't have a Famicom disc system there. If they did, I probably would have bought that too and been able to play this as well. But eventually I will get a Famicom disc system, mark my words, because I have to have one. I really want to play some of the games that never made it to here in North America. I mean, duh, I could get an emulator, but it's not special if you do it that way. No offense to anyone who does it through emulators. I mean, not knocking you. But yeah, one more thing about the Famicom is that, because I got other things to talk about, and this video is already starting to get a little long. Later on, I think it was later in May, or maybe even early June, right before the move or something like that. Well, actually, the move happened on June 1st, but I think I'm pretty sure it was later in May. I went to Press Start Games, and I got one more Famicom game, and I had to pick this one up, because this one is very special. It's Mother. Yeah, I got a Famicom copy of Mother, interestingly enough, which is now available on the Wii U Virtual Console as Earthbound Beginnings. Or is Earthbound... I think it's Earthbound Beginnings, not Origins. I keep thinking it's either Origins or Beginnings, but yeah, I haven't played it yet. I have it on the Wii U Virtual Console, and now I have it on the original Famicom cartridge. Even though I'm probably not going to play this much, because, like, obviously... I know that with RPG games, it's a different story. It is going to be Japanese text, so I won't be able to understand if I play an actual Japanese copy. But I still want to own this for collecting purposes, and maybe someday I will play it. Yeah, I'll go more into that in a little bit, but I want to move on. Because that's not where it ended. Because later on I went there, and I found, to the same store, Star Over Games, by the way. It was only like a week or two later that I actually got this, by the way. They had a Super Famicom, too. Yeah. And also, I want to say that I actually appreciate the design of the Super Famicom controller more than the Super Nintendo, because these color buttons are just so cool. I don't know, just something about them that's really, really cool. Well, the colors, I guess, with the whole rainbow thing. I don't know. And yeah, I got as you can imagine, I got 4 games to go with it as well. And in the same vein as the Famicom, there are games I'm really familiar with. So, got Star Fox, the original. Super Donkey Kong, as it's called in Japan, but it's actually Donkey Kong Country as it's known in the rest of the world. Super Mario All-Stars, but in Japan it's called Super Mario Collection, so that's interesting. And Super Mario RPG, which is interesting because I don't own a Super Nintendo copy of Super Mario RPG, so now I have the Japanese copy of the game. So once again, just like with Clue on the Famicom, now I have a Japanese copy of a game I don't have in the North American version, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, I've tested out both these systems and they work great. The Super Famicom already has the composite capability, so no issues there at all. So that's pretty much all I have to say about the Super Famicom. But either way, it's just so awesome to have the Japanese version of the Super Nintendo as well, or the original version as it's actually known as. But that's not where it ends, because I went there. This is literally like a streak of 3 weeks or so. I go there the next week, and they have Japanese Nintendo 64 games. Yeah. But they didn't have a Japanese Nintendo 64. But that doesn't matter, because they happen to sell Hyperkin products, and one of them is this, which is basically an adapter that lets you play, it lets you play N64 games region-free, basically. So with this, I can play Japanese and PAL N64 games, I do believe. And so, I bought 5 Japanese Nintendo 64 games. So I have Diddy Kong Racing, Mario Kart 64, Mario Story, as it's called in Japan, but as we Americans know, Paper Mario, Super Smash Bros. It goes by a different title in Japan. Let me look it up real quick. Nintendo All-Star Dairanto Smash Brothers. That's what it's called in Japan. Yeah, I had to look it up because I never would have remembered that. And finally, of course, as you would need with any N64, Super Mario 64. So I have Japanese copies of these 5 games. But interestingly enough, once again, another game in which I have the Japanese copy but not the North American copy, Paper Mario. But the thing is, Paper Mario is an RPG, but it's an RPG that I have experience with, like I've completed a few times. As you saw, I did a Let's Play of it too. So I thought to myself, hey, that'd be a nice challenge. I could play through the game and see if I can do it without understanding the text. So that's another reason to collect the Japanese games. Like if you don't know Japanese and you want to challenge yourself by playing through the game without understanding the text. Yeah, just an interesting way to play games, I guess. But yeah, I don't have a North American copy of Paper Mario yet. And it's mainly because they're hard to find. I have not seen it once at a game store. Never. For some reason, it's actually kind of hard to find. And the only reason I can think of is that it came so late in the North American N64's lifespan. You know, in 2001, I think. Yeah, it says 2000 for the Japanese copy, but it might came out the next year in North America. I don't know. But either way, it's one of the harder to find first-party games in North America. Yeah, so I'm not sure about that. I'm pretty sure it's that theory I have is that it came so late in the N64's lifespan. But yeah, that's basically what I wanted to talk about. That was all 3 of the things I covered. I am planning on eventually getting a 64 DD, and I know that is quite the undertaking because those things are insanely expensive. I think the cheapest you can find one is like $5,000 or something like that. Maybe $10,000 if it comes with everything. I think that's how it works. I don't know. Either way, it costs an arm and a leg to get one, literally. So, yeah, I'm thinking I might have to save up to get one of those. But I could eventually get one if I had enough time to save up. I doubt it, but who knows? You never know. So that's pretty much what I have time for today. Well, yeah. That's what I have to talk about today. I got some Let's Play recording to do as well, but yeah, either way, I don't know if I'm going into work tonight or not. I always feel bad calling, like I always do. Like even if I have my reasons to, like even if I'm sick or whatever, like I always feel bad about it because I actually care about my team. But I'm so sick of these awful supervisors I get sometimes. I don't know what their logic is, like because because like we're so understaffed too. Like we can't. The issue is that we're overnight stalkers. We're the ones that put stuff on the shelves at night, and we're incredibly understaffed, and yet they take that out on us and they expect us to just make up for it with speed, essentially. You know, because if you don't have a full team, that you can't really effectively get everything on the shelves in time. You know, it might seem like a long night. I mean, 10-hour shift, but like they only give us like actually 8 hours to stock. And of course, the camera stopped recording. But anyways, like I was saying, yeah, I don't remember where he stopped recording. So I just so what I was saying is that yeah, we're overnight stalkers and we're understaffed, and they're expecting us to make up for it by with speed, essentially. And I really hate that because, like, you know, I can't. It's like either you get a speedy job or a quality job. Do you want a quality or speedy job? Because you can't have your cake and eat it too at Walmart. Like, Jesus. I don't know. I'm just so sick of this shit. It's such bullshit. You know, because like these, I don't get what their deal is. Like how they do this. Like they come up to everyone. They tell us that we're going too slow. Like each one of us individually. So it makes it seem like that it's us. Like, it's just me who's holding back the team, when in reality, they're telling the exact same thing to everybody. Like, I know they are, because I talk to the other people, and they say the same thing. So, I don't know why they're pulling this bullshit. Like, it's so fucking ridiculous. Be prepared to hear a lot of rants about work from me, but this is coming at the end of a vlog. I had a completely different topic, so I need to stop there. So, I will see you guys later. And I apologize, this vlog was at 30 FPS instead of 60. This is on my Canon camera, so I just wanted to do something different. And plus, I'm with this this particular angle, with you staying on top of the refrigerator, I kind of have to do this, because if I use my phone, then I have to lean against something. If it's leaning against something, it's angled upwards, so it probably won't see me as much. I don't know. So with the camera, I can at least lay it flat, and it'll point straight, so whatever. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.